Hello, biology students. My name is Mrs. Meyer, and I'm going to be your advanced placement biology teacher this year. Before we get started on the class, I wanted to share just a little bit about myself. Of course, we'll meet in person in a few short weeks, but just so that you have a little preview of who I am, I'm originally from Minnesota in the United States, and I've taught biology and life science, including anatomy and ecology, for almost 15 years. During that time, I've also been an advisor for many student groups such as National Honor Society, a Youth Environmental Club, Knowledge Bowl, and First Lego League, which is a type of robotics club. So I like to be involved not only in the classroom, but also with students in their different clubs and organizations. You can see in many of these pictures that I am married and I have two sons. My husband's name is Dan, and my two sons' names are Egan and Quinton. Egan is 12 years old and Quinn is 9 years old. One of the things we like to do together as a family is travel. So a lot of these pictures that you'll see were taken on our various trips that we took. For example, to South Carolina's beach, to Yellowstone National Park and Glacier National Park, to Seattle, Washington, and even up into British Columbia. So we have gotten around North America quite a bit, but we are really looking forward to our biggest adventure, our biggest traveling journey yet, which is our trip to Korea coming up in a few short days. Some of the things I like to do outside of teaching is I love to read. I like fantasy and science fiction books mostly, but I will read anything. One of my favorite books I read this summer was called The Fifth Season, which is a kind of sci-fi book that I would recommend if you're interested in that. I also enjoy running. I ran a half marathon with my dad a few years ago and try to keep running quite often during the week just to stay in shape and also to be outside. Another thing I like to do outside is gardening. Here in Minnesota, in my home, I had large gardens, both vegetable and flower gardens. And then finally, my kids and I, my two boys, we like to go camping. At least once a year, we go to a park in the area and go camping to enjoy the outdoors as well. Some other things that my husband and I like to do together is watch various Netflix or Hulu series. We just finished up a kind of scary series called Stranger Things. That was a lot of fun. It took place in the 1980s and kind of had some monsters and other types of science fiction type stories in it. And then recently we've also been watching some K-drama so that we're getting ready for our trip to Korea and to practice our Korean while watching the shows. So that's enough about me for now. As I said, I'll see you in a few weeks and then we'll get to know each other really well. The next thing I want to talk a little bit about is just an introduction to AP Biology as a course. So AP, or Advanced Placement Biology, is actually a program run by an organization called the College Board, and it's a college-level introduction to the biological sciences. So it's going to be a broad survey or broad overview of all the biology topics that are typically taught in a college-level class. So these topics might be ecology or environmental science, biochemistry, genetics. We're going to touch on a lot of different topics throughout the year. And then in May, at the same time, all around the world, people are going to take their AP Biology exam. So the College Board is responsible for sending out this exam. You will take the test in May, and a sufficient score on the exam will make you eligible for college credit in biology. Even if you don't get college credit for taking the exam, the class will be a rigorous class that will prepare you well not only for college biology, but other college classes as well. The last thing I want to give you a little bit of information about on the class is some materials you might want to start looking for so you're prepared ahead of time. I might think of more materials as I eventually get into the classroom and kind of see what we have available. But for now, these are the things that I know for sure we'll be using throughout the year, as I've had my students use them in past years that I've taught AP Biology. So the first thing I want you to look for is something called a composition notebook. So I've got a picture of it right over here, down below. Okay, this is a notebook that has kind of a binding on the edge to hold the papers in place. And then it's quad ruled, which means it has the kind of graph paper on it, so that if you're making graphs in your notebook, it makes it a lot easier to have those quads on there. The second thing I'd like you to find is a 1-inch 3-ring binder. And in Korea, I'm guessing they're maybe not measured in inches, so it's probably approximately 3 to 4 centimeters. And the 3-ring binder picture is right here. If you want to get some little tabs to go into that 3-ring binder to divide off sections, that would be fine as well. But at the minimum, just having a binder for handouts and things would be wonderful. Next, some colored pencils. You don't need to have as many different colors as this shows here. Even just your standard like 12 pack of colored pencils would be fine. And then one highlighter, highlighter color of your choice, whether it be yellow, green, or blue, is fine. If you want a couple different colors of highlighters, that's fine as well, but one is the minimum. Next, I'd like you to have some Post-it notes. Oftentimes, we'll use Post-it notes in class for sharing ideas, but also for making changes to the notes or the content that you're taking in class. I find that Post-it notes work really well for changing ideas or additional ideas. You're going to need a pair of scissors. Small or large, it doesn't matter, just so it's comfortable for you. I'd like some tape as well, just typical clear invisible tape that we can use to tape things into your composition notebook. You will be getting a textbook that goes along with this class as well. I don't have the details on the textbook yet, but I believe that they will be ordered. And then finally, we will be using electronic devices of some sort quite often in class. Whether you have a laptop, an iPad, a Microsoft Surface, whatever you prefer to use, we will be using your Google Drive account and multiple other apps quite often during class. So I want you to be prepared for that if at all possible. In the school I used to teach in, all of my students had iPads, and so I'm very familiar with and comfortable with using those electronic devices to help you learn better and to get organized in class. So with that, we are going to have a lot more information that I hand out to you when I see you on August 16th. But for now, like I said, I just wanted to introduce myself, give you a little bit idea what the class is, and get you rolling on this short summer assignment. So now that this video is done, you want to move on to the next assignment on your list. Remember, if you have any questions, you can always email me at my APUS address. See you soon.